Good?
I think so.
Yeah?
Yeah.
All right, cool. Hey, and welcome back to the next episode of the Right Hand Drive Guys podcast, the podcast for guys who like right-hand drives. I'm Bobby. This is Aaron.
Yo.
And this is episode 128. And quick update, because this has been an ongoing thing.
Oh, yeah, it has.
Trump has put out the tariffs, and there was, in fact, an exemption.
There it is.
So the whole industry has been freaking out for a week.
Yep.
Exactly 1 week since he dropped it. Boom, exemption. 25 years and older, you're not going to get taxed. That includes me. You can imagine how happy I was when I figured out I was saving $35,000.
Oh, yeah, I can imagine. Dude.
Oh, yeah.
I can imagine anyone.
Yeah, I immediately hit up Top Rank and said, all right, boys, we're good to go. Let's do the mods.
Yeah, right?
No more tariffs. But, yeah, that's cool. That's great news for us as a culture to, kind of avoid these ridiculous fees and continue to be able to love the cars that we love. So, speaking of, this week we have a guest. His name is Kolapo, and he has, or had, I guess, a 34 GTR, and it's been all over the internet because of the situation with it. It was there, and then it really wasn't, and now it just popped up. I don't want to ruin it. I want to get his story.
Yeah, for sure.
But his GTR was stolen and now popped up.
Yeah, popped up for sale at a car dealership.
At a dealership. Yeah. So, really not awesome story, but we wanted to bring awareness to his story and what he's going through, and hopefully others could avoid it if it was ever a situation they were in.
Yeah, hell yeah.
So yeah, let's chat with him. Let's see what the deal is, how it all happened, where he goes from here.
Yeah, let's hear it, man.
All right, episode 128. All right, and we're back with Kolapo. What's up, man?
Not much, man. Good to meet you guys, but definitely not under these circumstances.
Yeah, for sure, man. I hope at the end we can make plans for the second episode where the fairy tale ending hopefully comes into play.
Yeah.
So, all right, Kolapo, let's tell the listeners, where are you from? What do you do? Who are you? Because I know that this isn't the only car you got, too. So tell us a little bit about that.
All right. Well, let's see. So my name's Kolapo. I'm from Maryland. I grew up in Maryland, not born and raised, but lived in Maryland most of my life. Outside of cars, my career, I am an emergency physician. But we don't need to really get into all of that. We're mostly here about the cars. So I would say that I got started with cars back when I was about 15 or 16. Actually, no, even before that, maybe when I was like 10 or 11, my older brother got an EF hatch, like a Civic hatchback. And pretty quickly he started modifying it. He put an exhaust on it. I asked him, well, why's your car loud all of a sudden? And he explained it, and it kind of got my mind going because I'm like an engineer by training, so I kind of like to how to figure out how things work. And fast forward 6 years, got my license. Boom, that hatchback is now mine.
Oh, that's the best hand-me-down.
Yeah, exactly. And just like any other, some are better, but I was a typical 16, 17-year-old, did the worst mods. Like I'm talking like nozzle lights. I don't know if you guys.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Remember those?
Oh yeah.
Those are the best.
Yeah, I was about that for a short while. Okay, so did that for a while. Went to college, and I started college in 2002, and so the EM1, Civic SIs were out and about in the streets, and that was like my first dream car. Actually, it was an Evo, but they weren't around yet, so it was a SI. And so I convinced my dad to get me an SI. Rode that for almost like 15 years. Didn't have a lot of money, so I just kept to the simple mods: intake, headers, exhaust, some cams, things like that. And then I had to focus on education, so I went to med school, I went to residency, I was gone for 7 years. Still had the Civic, but not really messing with it. Got out of residency and then realized, like, oh, that's right, I'm a car enthusiast. Hey, I'm going to have disposable income, so maybe I should, reignite this passion. And so I wasn't a crazy car person just yet, but I did set my eyes on like a B8 2014 Audi RS5 in Suzuka Gray. And I rode that for 5 years and enjoyed it. Found out, man, European cars are expensive.
Yeah, for sure.
And so enjoyed it. But one day I took it to the track. I started getting antsy to start performing in vehicles, to do like I wasn't sure if I was going to do rally, drifting, or road course. And so I took my Audi to a high performance driving event at Summit Point, and the car did okay, but I had to get track day insurance, and it was like, I don't know, it was like $1,200 or something like that.
Wow. And
I was thinking, based off the value of the car, I'm thinking, well, how am I going to, keep taking this car to the track? And so that was like the kiss of death. I realized, like, man, I need to get rid of this car. So anyways, I started just getting a little crazy. I got like at that time I also had a Subaru Legacy. Did a little bit of like work to that, just the kind of, if you're like a Subi person, stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, all that stuff. Yeah. Like I did a stage 3 build, and it was a daily, and it performed well. But I started, really wanting to get into motorsports. I decided, like, okay, I'm going to get a Miata. And then before I did that, I went to Dirtfish for rally racing school.
That is cool.
And I fell in love, and I said, you know what? No, I need to do rally. I need to do rally cross. And so my same brother who had the Civic back in the day had an Evo, like an Evo 8. And it was the perfect spec because it was already salvage titled. It'd been on his roof a couple times.
Oh, wow.
It's ready to rip.
Like no one knew the whole history of the car. And so I bought that off him, got the family discount. I guess this was maybe like 2018. And so got a really good deal back at the time, and promptly, entered it into rally cross, like in the DC area. And it was fun. Did okay. I was in the group with all the other WRXs and STIs, and they kept teasing me, telling me that anytime an Evo's in the group, it always breaks down. But I never broke down. Like everyone else, unfortunately for them, broke down at some point, but the Evo held strong. And so I would say this is around 2020. All right, so this is like 2019, and like I was asleep at the wheel. One day it dawned on me, hey, R32 GTRs are legal. And like, we're like in the last year of like the R32 generation. And so I started looking, and then, realized, like, wait, R33s are about to be legal. And, I'd played Gran Turismo growing up, I was that same generation. Like I loved GTRs, but didn't realize that they were around. So I ended up, the theme of this story is going to be, you made some bad decisions, but I'm not trying to let those define me. So I contacted JDM Expo, and like it was like the first car that I saw like on the internet. It was like a midnight purple, Series 1 GTR. I inquired. They said, oh, it's not available, but we have this white one. And I'm like, yes, because that's the last GTR that's ever going to be available. I need it. And so purchased it without like doing any due diligence. And so it was a March 95 car. And so it arrived in April of 2020. And, April 2020 was an interesting time in the world
Oh, yeah.
for everyone. And so I had this, being an emergency physician, I kind of had an existential crisis. Like I had maybe like 10 days off of work in late March. And this was like right when COVID just like swept onto the East Coast. And so I told myself like, like I might die from this, like in the line of duty. And I won't even be able to say that I actually got to, chase my dreams. And so,
dang, that's deep.
yeah. And so I JDM Expo, like basically around the same time they posted the white GTR, they posted this Mspec Nur. And so I saw it back in like September, October, whenever I had, ordered or bought the 33. And it was listed at like 128,000 back in 2019.
Oh my
That's
gosh.
You're right.
Man,
And so
That's crazy.
And so now it's like April 2020 and the prices are already going crazy. I'm looking around and I see other NERs listed at like 250, etc. And I'm thinking, all right, I know this is a high mileage NER. It might be the highest mileage one out there, but at this price, like I just need to do it. And so I contacted them. They said, yeah, sure. And got the money together and purchased it. And so like August 2020, made the final payment. Boom, sent the email. They said, all right, it's yours.
Wow.
man.
And
Must
so
have
that's the
felt
beginning
good.
of the saga. That's the prelude to the saga.
So pretty much you get a 33. As soon as that lands, you're like, okay, I got to get the 34. Things are going wild.
Right. I figured, I won't see this 34 for a couple of years. It'll give me time to really enjoy the 33. But like I said, it was a poor choice. It wasn't necessarily in as good of condition. I mean, let's be honest. I didn't even know what condition it was in. I just ordered it, but it came and like how it is when you get a car from Japan. Like the battery's flat.
Oh, yeah.
You got to change the battery, and so I did that. Then I'm trying to drive it, and I'm hearing a whole bunch of misfires and breaking up. Like, okay, all right, change the coil packs, change the spark plugs, blah blah blah. Finally, get ready to do a pull, and it's weak, like the car's slow, and so I thought, oh no, there's something wrong with this car, and by the time I was able to get into a shop, like the day I was supposed to drive it to a shop, blew a turbo.
No.
And so, and now everything started spiraling out of control on that 33. Let's just say I haven't had the best luck with GTRs.
Yeah, it doesn't seem it.
Yeah. And so it was in the shop for a while, got it, built the head, new turbos, the whole while you're in there, might as well type of build ensued.
It's a slippery slope.
Yeah.
It is. And so I drew the line at building the bottom end. I said, nah, like I'm good here. I don't need any more power. And so got the car back, enjoyed it for about 6-8 months, and then boom, got rod knock.
No.
Man.
So I don't want to get too far down the 33 hole, but I sent the car to Tommy FBS to get the engine restoration. He said nah, man, your car kind of sucks.
Wow, Tommy.
Wow.
I mean, in his defense, it did. So he was like, get a better car, and we'll swap all the good stuff, and then you sell off the original. So I ended up getting a Black Series 3, and it's swapped them out, and the car is hopefully going to be done this month.
And is that still at Tommy's?
It's at Tommy's, yeah.
Nice.
It's been a long process. A lot of it has been me because I didn't really have the money or the desire to buy another GTR, like another 33.
Yeah.
But anyways, I ended up pulling the trigger. This is, the exchange rate was great at the time, and I got us this is like final redemption. I actually got the right GTR, and it actually came to me. Like I actually own it full outright. Not that I don't the other car, but at least I can grasp it.
And so, did you end up selling off the original?
I did actually. It was kind of cool because I went to Japan last year I went to Ebisu for like a 5-day drift school.
Nice.
And while I was in Japan, I met a guy at 𝐇𝐀𝐒𝐇𝐓, a guy from Cali. And when I posted the car for sale, he hit me up. And Tommy had gone through the car and made it put a new motor in it, and it was the drivetrain was fine. And so I ended up selling it to him, and we've been friends ever since. So it's
cool.
kind of cool situation.
Yeah. So that's cool, man. I'm glad to hear at least you got the Black Series 3 and now Tommy's getting it ready for you. I'm sure the first drive of that is going to be so satisfying after everything you've been through.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's little victories. I'm looking forward to that car even while I'm, licking my wounds over, everything that's going on with the 34. I'm still excited about the 33.
Yeah,
so I'm excited about that.
Especially after, driving the turd of a 33, this will be like, oh, okay, this is how it's supposed to be.
Right. Yeah, I don't think I ever really got to fully experience and appreciate just how capable, GTRs are.
And
I'm excited.
So, okay, so when we start getting into the 34, right, where do we start here?
So we'll start we'll just start off with April 2020. So I bought the car, and it just sat there at JDM Expo for a solid year and a half, and I knew that show display was possible, and I knew that there were one or two people who had imported their Mspec Nurs into the country, but I wasn't having a lot of luck. I was contacting some of the bigger name importers, and I wasn't really getting a lot of guidance on how to do it. And so it wasn't until I think late 2021 that I was watching a YouTube video, and I saw one on the streets. And so I contacted the gentleman, and he referred me to the importer that he used, which was Phase 9 Motorsports. And so I ended up contacting, Phase 9 Motorsports, Franz Teixeira, and, we signed a contract. He said, all right, we'll take possession of the vehicle. We'll do the paperwork. We'll import it. And I guess I should probably make the disclaimer here that, everything I'm saying is my opinion, and my opinion alone. I don't want to, say something because, they like to sue, So
Yeah.
I just have to give that disclaimer. So anyways, so I signed the contract. We talked with JDM Expo, and they arranged for pickup. And so Phase 9's people in Japan pick up the vehicle. They take it to their lot. They say, hey, it looks like there's this motor's hurt. There's blue smoke coming out of the exhaust. And so I found the previous owner. He was a U.S. citizen that was stationed in Japan.
Oh wow!
And he said, "Oh yeah, I worked that car hard. Like it definitely had something wrong with the motor. It needs some work. And so I said, okay, since it's going to take some time to get the paperwork done, yeah, you can send it to the shop you're recommending, but just diagnostics. I don't need any actual work done. We'll just take care of the work when it comes to the US. And that was probably like, you know, in my opinion, like the beginning of like the nightmare. And so it goes off, and for like the next like 6 months between like January and September, August, September, I'm not hearing much from the importer. I'm asking him, hey, what's up? Where's the car, by the way? What's the name of the shop? Why is the car still in the shop? Not getting much. Eventually, he tells me, oh, it's at this shop called Kanto Power, like somewhere near Kyoto. And so, of course, you know, the first thing I do is I go internet search it. I'm like, where's Kanto Power? Like, I don't see this. So I'm starting to like, oh man, like what's going on? And all right, then, you know, August, September 2022, he says, hey, your car is back. And they didn't just do some diagnostics, they did a full body restoration on your car.
What?
And so I'm like, wait, what? Yeah, I definitely did not authorize that. And so, you know, he's telling me, oh, this shop, you know, maybe the Yakuza got involved and this and that. And so then he sends me this bill, and it's like a shop bill. It's, you know, it's in all Japanese, but you know, you put it through Google Translate, and I'm like,
yeah,
where is this place? This isn't even like a full like address. Like, where is this place? And oh yeah, yeah. So, wait, did I tell you how much it was for the bill?
no.
Oh yeah, it was $180,000 after like conversion.
Whoa.
to US.
Whoa. So you take it in for diagnostics and they do the exact opposite and completely rebuild the thing.
Yeah.
Wow.
And
man.
and so I, you know, like I don't even know if this is actually, you know, being rebuilt, because I get one video of the vehicle, which is very sus because he says it's still at Kanto Power, but if you look at the Google, you know, map, Google Street View, it's like down the street from his warehouse where he stores vehicles. So I'm already, you know, kind of like, this is sus. This is really sus. And so this is when like I start to, you know, employ the help of the internet. I put the first post out like, you know, I'm worried that my car is going to be stolen, this and that. And, you know, the internet starts to get involved. But as that's going on, I'm actually emailing with the supposed someone who works at this Kanto Power shop. And I'm saying, hey, I appreciate you guys, you know, doing this work, but I didn't authorize this. So I need, you know, time to get the money together. And so in the meantime, someone, you know, in the scene contacts me, and he's like, look, man, I'll front you the money. Just tell him you got the money, because like your car's about to disappear. And so I message them and I say, hey, I have the money. And the response I get is like, oh, it's too late. It's already done.
What?
And so that's, you know, that's the car disappears. And, you know, like around this time, I go onto that Facebook group, like, you know, I got screwed by shady JDM importer. And, you know, I post about my story.
I feel like I remember this.
Yeah.
For
I
sure.
think it caused a buzz. And someone like, you know, basically they tell me that two other people are suing this importer. And one of them is actually the guy who referred me. And
jeez.
and so what happened was that it was this like short window, like it was like the eye of the hurricane, where his car was in the country, but he didn't realize that it was that the paperwork was all messed up, and so that it wasn't legal. And so that's when he referred me. If I talked to him like weeks later, months later, like none of this would have happened. He'd be like, stay away from the guy, et cetera, et cetera. So ended up lawyering up with the same lawyer who represented the other two. And, we filed a civil lawsuit. And in addition to getting a lawyer in California, I got a lawyer some lawyers in Japan. Because as far as we knew, the car was still in Japan. So we're trying to find the car. And it's for like the next, I'd say from like September through March or April of September 2022 to like April 2023 is just a bunch of lawyer like activity that unfortunately didn't really produce much. It just kind of emptied my wallet.
Yeah, I bet.
Until we got word that the car was getting ready for export from Japan. And so we were trying to see if we could stop it, but the part of the issue is that as like if you're not a Japanese citizen, you don't really have a lot of rights in that country. And so it wasn't like the lawyers couldn't file a police report or talk to the Customs and Border, but it was like thousands, if not tens of thousands of dollars to do these things. And so it's like I don't have infinite funds. I had to pick and choose where I'm spending my funds, and I just thought if I spend all this money and nothing comes of it, then I'm just even further in the hole. And so car disappears again. It didn't we didn't see it, but we knew the car was leaving the country. And so it wasn't until this is where my dates are even my dates are getting mixed up, but let's just say like late in 2023, as my California lawyer is they're doing discovery, et cetera, we learned that the car actually got imported into the US. And so it was exciting to me because that meant that at least I have a chance of getting the vehicle back. It's not like the car went overseas somewhere where like I would have no chance on making it to this vehicle. And so we were moving forward with a civil suit, and part of the discovery, we got the actual documents that showed the broker and who imported the car. And sure enough, Phase 9 Motorsports name is like the HS7 or one of those forms.
Whoa.
And so I'm like, so he did import the vehicle. And so now, my lawyer is, pressing his lawyer like, hey, what's going on? And so, this guy Franz says, oh, I bought the car from Kanto Power. That's why I have it. But that's all he's basically said over the past, ever since then. He maintains that he bought the car, and it's been nothing but delays for the deposition. We've been trying to depose him for it feels like a year and a half.
Jeez.
And in that meantime, I didn't know if he had the car. I didn't know if he sold the car. I'm kind of getting out of sorts, but I ended up flying to California back in 2023 to file a police report. His business is he is located in Orange, California, so I was instructed that I had to file the police report in person. And so I flew out there, tried to file a police report, and it was not really, didn't really felt like I was being taken seriously.
Oh, that's the worst.
The officer said, "Why did you come?" I said, "Because you said I had to file the report in person when I called. So I'm here to file a report." And then they, made me do this or that. Oh, go to the business and see if your car is there and call the dispatch. They'll send an officer. So I drove out to the business. An officer was dispatched. Car's not there. No one's at the business. Okay, now you can file a report, but actually, no, you can't because we think this is a civil matter.
What?
I did not want to take my report until my lawyer, had to, make some really, really strong words to kind of push things forward. And so that investigation seemed like it was promising because, you can look up Franz's past criminal history. He has a history, and it involves like illegally importing vehicles. And so I thought, oh, well, and he was busted by the feds from what I remember. And so what I'm thinking is, oh, this should be easy. Like,
right. Guy's a repeat offender. It should be easy.
Yeah. The feds should just, swing in and do what they got to do. And, meanwhile, I'm like sending, inquiries and filling out forms online to like customs, FBI, whoever that I feel like might be, and I think maybe even the Postal Service at some point.
Dang.
Anyone that seemed like they might be involved, like, or could be involved and help like resolve this case. And it's been the same thing like everywhere. Like I usually just don't get a response. And so it just feels like being the little guy, like I don't have like much of a platform. Like people look at this situation and say either it's a civil matter or it's too complicated and they don't want to get involved, or they don't think it's worth their time. And so it's been tough, man.
I can only imagine it. Yeah, there's some despair there when you just can't get anyone to help you in it. I'm sure it makes you feel like you said, the little guy, when it is, to any one of us, something like this would be at the top of our priority list.
Yeah.
Right. And so, I was going to say this before we went live, but, there's like this whole situation is actually, it's important. It should be important to anyone who loves these cars and wants to own one of these cars and thinks about importing these cars, because, what we're dealing with right now is effectively like I'm a test case for these shady importers to see if it's possible to legally steal a vehicle.
Yeah.
Because I have a bill of sale. I made the payments. I got, I bought Ganadors. Like I dreamed about this car. I did all those things and I followed the rules, but the rules don't seem to support my claim to this vehicle because it's too complicated. No one wants to figure this out. So this is important to everyone, because if this ends with, me not getting this car back or like no form of justice, it might just be open season on just snatching cars, like making up weak fake stories to steal valuable cars and do the same thing. Because what's going to happen? Nothing happened in Kolapo's case.
Yeah, that's so true too. Like it stinks for you to be the tester, so to speak. But right, everybody should listen up, because it could be you whose car gets switched up at port, or you whose car never gets in the container, or, whatever it may be that time, for sure. And if you're not diligent on, you know, double checking everything and making sure, like you said, the due diligence, right? And of course, hindsight's 2020. You know, of course, I'm sure now maybe you would have done things different, but at the very least, you may save one other person from dealing with what you're going through.
Yeah. I got a DM even today or yesterday asking, hey, which importer did you use? Because I want to avoid them. And so, you know, I responded to them and asked them who they're going with. And, you know, they're thinking about going with a reputable person or company. And I think that's probably what's going to happen is that the only people I could recommend are the most reputable people out there. And it's going to hurt the little guys, like the little importers, because they won't get as much business thrown their way.
Oh yeah, because you got to start somewhere.
People won't be willing to give them a chance to make a name for themselves.
Yeah.
All right. So basically everything's really in hiatus, like nothing's moving. I just kind of, you know, get back to life, and I don't really worry too much about the 34 until like 2-3 weeks ago. And mind you, like over this whole period, people would DM me pictures of Mspec Nurs they would see around the country and say, hey, is this your car? Is this your car? And it was pretty easy to tell because, you know, my car is a little distinct in that it has a V-Spec 2 hood. It has a Z-Tune kit, but the side skirts are like black or carbon fiber. I don't even know. And it just looks a little distinct and has some like weird hoses like going to the catch can. And so it's like imprinted in my memory. And so it's pretty easy to look at a car and say, nah. Even though, you know, most of them are Z-Tune kitted up LMG T4s.
Yeah.
Pretty easy to tell. And so finally, you know, one of my buddies from college who actually we rallycrossed together DMs me and is like, hey, I think this is your car. And I'm like, oh, like, am I allowed to curse on here?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. And I was like, oh shit. Like that's my fucking car. And so, you know, someone posted on Facebook, like one of these Facebook groups, like, hey, there's a Mspec Nur at my local exotic dealership, and this car looks a little sus. Like, what do you guys think about it? Because it having like a gold VIN plate, it had a silver VIN plate, and that same V-Spec 2 hood instead of like just a, you know, typical R34 hood. And so it just kind of brought him a little bit of confusion. So like I contacted him and he's like, yeah, it's in Indiana. It's in Zionsville, Indiana. And so
what the heck? That's like where's that? Like, damn.
Yeah. And so my world just, you know, got flipped upside down. I'm like elated. I'm excited. I'm like, wow, like it's actually been spotted. That's my actual car. And so, you know, I book a ticket and head to the airport. And on the way there, I call the police, the local police, Zionsville Police Department. And I say, hey, the stolen vehicle that's been spotted at this dealership, like this is my car. And so they're like, okay. And so they go to investigate. And in the meantime, like before I left, I tried calling this dealership to inquire about the car to see if it was still there, to see if I can go look at it. But never, like no one answered, so I didn't speak to anyone. And so I just like talked to the police, said, hey, that's my car. They asked me for some, you know, bill of sale and some other items. So I emailed it to them, and you know, a few hours pass, and it's, you know, I'm about to board my flight, and I get a call back from the officer, and he says, you know, look, the vehicle is there, but this business wanted me to give you this heads up that if you show up on their property, that they're gonna, you know, trespass you.
Damn. What? Off the
and
rip.
off the rip. And so I'm like, what? Like, I have never spoken to anyone there in my life. Like, I have no like interaction with people. Like, are you is this how we're gonna start? Like, you're just gonna bar me from the premises? And so it was like a gut punch, because
Oh yeah.
all these years I've never actually seen my car in person. And I was thinking, oh, I'll finally get to see it in person. And no, I can't. Everyone else can, but I can't, because I would possibly go to jail if I set foot on that property, even though I've never spoken to anyone. They made any statements about them at that point.
That's
And
low.
so yeah. And so I felt a certain way about it, but I said, whatever, I'm going anyways. I need to just be on the ground. And so I ended up going, and things just got really just bad. So, I didn't really post about all this in the Facebook posts that I've made since all of this went down, but I got in touch with my so the Zionsville police basically told me the next day, like after I'd already arrived, they called me and said, hey, there's no stolen vehicle report, so we can't seize the vehicle because it's not stolen. Even though we know you have like a bill of sale, all this stuff, we can't seize the vehicle. There's no stolen vehicle report. And I'm asking them, like, isn't there more that you can do? Like, does it really only rely on this one factor? Is that the only thing you need? And they said, yeah, sorry, like, get your detective from Orange to file a stolen vehicle report. And so, back in 2023, when I went to file a report, they didn't file a stolen vehicle report because they said, oh, it's not in the country. We don't know if it's even here, so we can't really report it stolen. So I talked to the detective and I say, hey, like, this is what needs to happen. He says, okay, I'll talk to the officer. And they proceed to like play phone tag all day. But by the end of the California officer's business day, so like this was like around like 8 p.m. Eastern time, he says, okay, I filed the report. And so I'm like excited, going to bed thinking, oh man, I might even get this car. What are the possibility that like I'd actually be able to take possession of the vehicle? Can I just go to the DMV, get like, same day, like tag and get insurance? Can I drive this home? Like, what am I doing here? Just excited. And then the next day, just deflated, because I talked to the call the officer, and he says, I don't see any stolen vehicle report. He's like, did the PD file the report? I'm like, yes, they filed the report. Like, there was, I had to, basically they did a verbal recording of this report. There's like another confirmation step where someone had to call me to confirm it. Like, we did all that. Like, the report is filed. And so I called the, Orange PD. And of course, like, there's a 3-hour time zone difference. So I can't really even, hope to get in contact with this detective until like, early as 11 p.m., 8 a.m., like West Coast time. And so I call, he's not answering. I talked to someone from the records or like department, and they said, oh, I helped, the detective yesterday file the report. So it's filed. So I'm going to look into this because I know it was filed. And so, like the, hours pass, and I eventually hear back from that same officer the clerk in the records department. And she says, so what happened was, because it was filed stolen under the, the 14-digit chassis number, the R34 43308, it's not entering the national database.
Oh my
And
gosh.
so Zionsville is saying, well, if it doesn't enter the database, we can't do anything.
Dude.
And at this point, I've gone to the station. I'm like, look, like this seems like a very narrow interpretation of like what can and can't be done here. Like it's hard to believe that this only hinges on a stolen vehicle report.
Ooh, yeah, one piece of paper, so to speak.
Right. And it's like if I can't file a report because you want a 17-digit VIN, I don't have a 17-digit VIN. How are we supposed to file this report? Like the car is there. I have the like in my information that shows that I purchased this. Like you talk to the officer before and he's like, what's the disconnect outside of one piece of paper? And so it seemed like it was a lot of CYA, and it was also like preferential treatment towards the dealership because they said, oh yeah, we have a good relationship with them.
Of
And
course.
so I left like deflated. This was like Thursday. I never spoke to the my detective in California. I thought, all right, he'll be in Friday. He wasn't in Friday. Okay. I don't think he'll be on the weekend. So tried again on Monday, nothing. It wasn't until like Tuesday that I finally hear back from him. And all this time, this is like this whole weekend, like that's when I went on that like, posting storm. And I just was counting on this detective to hopefully check his email and figure out like what needs to be done to kind of move the case forward. And so we'll talk about that a lot, all those posts, because that was not fun. Once again, I had to, enlist the internet's help because it just felt like this was like an injustice being carried out. It's a lot of like, there's nothing I can do when you know that there's probably something more that can be done. I'm not asking for them to hand me the keys, but I'm asking you to like, let's investigate and have people prove prove ownership or prove that this car was stolen. Anyways, I go on the internet and I post, and or I guess even before that, I started posting. My lawyer in California, he sent some correspondence to this dealership, and it was probably the same person who threatened to trespass me. The response was, it felt like it was trying to be inflammatory. I assume that lawyers are very careful with their words, and it's not like that I care about my title as a doctor, but it just felt very dismissive, and it felt like this is like another like insult. Like the first one was being threatened with a trespass, like I'm a criminal when I haven't done anything. And now it's just, being talked down to.
And you had posted this one, right?
Yeah, that one was posted, so anyone can see that.
It felt like when I read it, it felt heartless. Like it was very straight to the point. Like, yeah, I definitely, when I was reading it, I felt a little insulted. So I could only imagine how you felt.
And so, I started posting about it, trying to bring more awareness to the situation. And the dealership released a statement about me and put my, my full government name out there. And it's, like there's a reason that, my Instagram is Cars and Crafts and you don't see, my face. It's about the cars. It's not about like me.
Right.
And, eventually, like I do plan on, introducing my face to the world. Like, well, hello world, I guess today. But like it's very frustrating that that this dealership, it just felt like this is yet another just kind of callous maneuver. And so part of the issue was that there was actually sensitive information that was posted about me in the release. And I did not want to respond with that information out there. And so that's part of the reason that I haven't really been as active. Another part of it is I don't really like drama. Like, I'm not someone for the drama. Unfortunately, I have to be, you know, all up involved with the drama to get the things moving. But like, I typically just want to get along with people. I believe that in the decency of people and like the importance of being cordial with people, like being professional, treating people with respect, golden rule, treat them how you want to be treated. Mm-hmm. And so this stuff is draining to me.
Oh, I'm sure.
But like, you know, like if I need to be like a little bit of a monster, like I might have to just do that to kind of move things forward. Because once again, like I'm said before, it's like the little guy's getting like, trampled on. And like I'm not gonna sit here and just let this happen.
Yeah. Yeah, I can only imagine just the feelings of the constant getting knocked down is just probably hard to deal with, let alone being in the same town as your car, man. Like, wow, like the restraint you must have had to have to just not go over there and risk it is insane.
Yeah, I mean, I take my job and my career seriously. Like, I'm not going to crash out over this vehicle. I would love to just go show up and say whatever, F it. But like, I got to answer to the board of medicine, you know, like
yeah.
Anything happens, the state boards are like emailing you immediately. Like you need a response. Like we are held to that standard and we should be. And so I have to carry myself that way.
Wow.
But yes, like it was hard and I wanted to show up.
Probably better that you didn't though, realistically.
And man, that must be frustrating. Like feeling that this whole situation is too complicated for the police to even like interact in any sort of way like that's beneficial to you, because it seems like they're just like, oh, it's too much, you know, this is too complicated, this is an international thing going on here, you know, we're just a small police department in Indiana or wherever it might be. So I mean, that's frustrating that they don't have the same type of professionalism that you carry in your career.
Yeah. Now, I will say that I did file a report with the Indiana State Police, and that officer, like, she tried her hardest. Like, she really did. But ultimately, she was not able to get a search warrant. And so she went to the business anyways, and they turned her away.
Wow.
Which is within their right. But, and yet another inflammatory, gesture. They said that this is I believe it's like the dealership and the seller, or maybe the new owner, whoever, that they are afraid of what I might do if I get my hands on their information.
Wow.
And I'm thinking, okay, yet again, just being cast as a criminal. Like, what have I done to promote violence or anything? Like, I don't believe in that. Like, I really feel that this could have gone differently if people chose civility and communication over aggressive postures and just shitting on someone.
Yeah, they were scared. They're scared, right? They're scared that you're going to take the car away. That's what it seems like, is they're looking at their loss only. They don't care about your loss. They're looking at how they would lose, and they're trying their hardest not to do that.
Unfortunately, someone's going to lose. multiple people are going to lose in this. But it just feels like, and I have empathy for them. Like, I don't want to be caught holding the bag, like buy, a couple $100,000 car only to find out that it was stolen and to have it taken. Like, I don't want to be that person either, but I sure as hell don't want to be me, the person who bought the car. Like, everyone's benefited off of this car situation but me.
That's true.
Like, all I have to show for it is like, growing legal fees, minus $128,000 I spent on the car, like loss of sleep, anxiety, like,
oh, I can only imagine those effects.
My information being posted online, like it just feels like I'm just getting beat up over this, like trying to get justice. And it just doesn't feel like that. Like that's not how things should be.
And so this brings us current. This is where you're currently at. This unnamed dealership still has the car?
I don't think they have it.
Oh.
Like they were going to sell it on consignment, and I don't think that they would have any luck selling this car if people were paying enough attention and doing due diligence before they bought the car. Excuse me. So I think it went back to the owner.
I see. So somebody else had bought it when it came into the country. They sat on it for a bit and then brought it on consignment to the dealership that we were talking about.
I think so. And I have the person's name who has the car. They posted about the car like a couple days ago. Like, I have that information. Because the internet is a wonderful. It can be a wonderful tool. Like, the people who, the internet's undefeated.
It really is.
So, once again, I want to choose civility, but like I said, I might have to within the bounds of the law, just kind of exercise my rights to my property.
And so. Okay, so was the post that the current owner made, was that like a negative post?
I don't remember exactly what it said, but it felt like it was, I don't know. I don't want to like say yes or no, because I really don't know. It wasn't like an obviously negative post. It wasn't an obviously positive post.
I see what you're saying.
It was just like a comment in regards to, like, that someone claimed to own this vehicle, but couldn't show the documentation, something of that sort.
I see. Yeah, and I get it. If he had nothing to do with what happened with Phase 9 and he paid for the car, right, like you said, it's a really hard situation because now money has changed hands multiple times, and now they feel like they own it, but you own it, so yeah, I can see how this would be a hard situation, if somebody came to you and said, hey, this is my car, that black 33 is my car, you'd be like, what do you mean? I paid good money for this is my car. So I can see on that end of things where that would be very hard a hard pill to swallow for the owner current too, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So okay, before we wrap this up, man. So where do we go from here? Where do you go from here when in regards to the 34?
It's hard, and like I have to kind of look at the game footage and look at the tape and come up with a new strategy. I do have a new lawyer that I've also brought on board to help, and so we're gonna think about what's next. I can't really say that I know what's gonna happen next. I think basically, I keep raising awareness. Every time I raise awareness, I do get some information. People come out of left field with some, pretty valuable information that can help the case. It's just, I can't I can't prosecute this case myself. I need the authorities to do their job.
Right. Hold themselves to that standard when it comes to helping everybody fairly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Man, you know, I personally am genuinely deeply sorry to hear this story. I am glad that we can help get it out for sure in any way that we can. And if anything, just for the awareness of the community to know that these type of things can happen, and, you know, how involved and heartbreaking it actually is to like deal with.
Yeah. I appreciate you guys allowing me to come on your platform.
Yeah. So are there any last remarks? Anything else you would want anybody to know?
Well, I appreciate all the support. I really do. It keeps me going. Like getting the DMs and just knowing that, you know, the community supports me. It helps me move on. Like I 100% truly intend to show my appreciation. Like I have a business in the works that's car related,
Hell
and
yeah.
it's for the people. And like if anything good comes out of it, maybe it helps me promote that business to kind of change the way we do things.
Hell
So
yeah,
that,
man.
you
That's
know, the
cool.
little guy doesn't get trampled on anymore.
Hell yeah.
Like advocating for guys like yourself, even if you do lose out, having the thought process to advocate for other guys, that's real stuff, right? Like that's human stuff.
Yeah, I believe in the humanity of, like, we need to stop trying to get over on each other and get deals, and start treating each other with respect. Like, I know cars are expensive, and we all work hard, and a lot of us are overworked, and we're in tough situations, and so we're just trying to do what we can to enjoy these vehicles. I get it, but it doesn't mean we can't treat each other with civility and respect. And I am dead set on shifting the paradigm into moving the needle towards treating people that way. Like we're not doing it the old way anymore. We're doing it the right way. And if I have to be the face of it, then okay, that's fine. I'll do it.
No, nothing wrong with that, man. I think that's a good cause to be the face of, and we're down with the message too, for sure, man. And if there's ever anything we can do to help you reach your goals, we are absolutely here for you.
I appreciate it.
Hell yeah,
I appreciate it.
Kolapo. Can you tell the listeners where they can find you? Shout out that Instagram real quick. I know you're not trying to build it into anything crazy, but if anybody wants to follow along and see what the end result is, let them know where to find you.
Yeah. You can find me it's Cars and Crafts. Cars _ Crafts. CRAFTS.
Hell yeah, man.
Easy enough.
Yeah, and we wish you the absolute best of luck, man. We hope that at some point we can be cruising next to you in that 34, but
yeah, with the Ganadors. Hold on to those, man. You got to put those on that thing.
Don't give up on it, man, for sure.
Definitely.
Yeah,
I'm looking forward to that day.
Hell yeah, man. We are too. But we appreciate you being on, man, for sure. And keep in touch, man. Let's get back on here if everything does work out, and let's share that happy ending, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right,
I look forward to that day.
Absolutely. Have a good night.
Thank you. You too.
I don't even know what to say. Honestly.
Man, that dude.
Can we just have a moment of silence for that 34 Mspec Nur?
Seriously. All right, man.
Yeah.
What the hell,
Dude.
man? Like internationally, like trying to hunt down your car,
What a
dealing
nightmare.
with police on 2 different continents, dude.
And nobody cares.
And no one cares. They seem like it's too complicated to deal with. Just like anything with these cars almost. If someone doesn't understand what the car is, they're not going to care.
They're like, why do you have this thing? You're silly.
Right. Just like us, trying to register our cars, period. You get the runaround. And this guy's getting the same thing about his stolen car that's over, worth well over $100,000.
Way more than that at this point.
Yeah, man. It's for real. I mean, that's just insane to me. This guy's so deep into this, and he can't seem to get any help from the people that are supposed to be helping, man. That's a bummer.
I really wish a turn of luck for him. And,
me too.
it sucks for the dude who bought the stolen car, right?
Yeah.
Like, that also sucks. I mean, if Phase 9 or whoever this guy was is the one that's truly making out on this for now, I hope that, as Kolapo says, like, justice is served, because when you do these type of things, like, this dude went through college, med school, all these things, worked in a residency, and made his way up to where he could afford this.
Yeah.
Like the pinnacle. And then one POS just rips the rug out from under him.
Dude, nothing. Yeah, it just sucks. Feel bad for the whole situation.
Yeah, for sure.
Don't wish that upon no one.
Nobody, not even the worst enemies. But hey, show the man some support. He left his IG there. Definitely give him a follow. See how this progresses. Show him some support in any way he needs it.
Mm-hmm.
You can, of course, always find us at RHDGUIS. And if you want to join the Facebook group, it's RHDGUIS-JDM Boys.
There it is.
Yeah, and come in there, chat it up, show us what you drive. Let's do it. For episode 128, I'm Bobby. This is Aaron.
See ya.
Peace.